Hi guys, it's Annie. Welcome back to BloomTV. Today I'm going to do a non-spoiler review of the cult classic book The Princess Bride by William Goldman, which was originally published in 1973 in the US, and I believe my edition was published in 1999 in the UK. This is a kind of revamped version and it is by Bloomsbury. It's really lovely. It's kind of got this like black and white cutout on the front with the silver lettering, and the spine is really beautiful too, and this is the black man, or the character that's kind of first described as the black man, who we later find out the identity of. This is a cult classic book. I have heard a lot about it. I never watched the film as a child. I know a lot of children or kids did, including a lot of my friends watched the film as a child and perhaps didn't read the book, but definitely watched the film a lot. And it became like a massive cult classic film. I think it was produced in the mid-80s, but I haven't actually watched the film and I hadn't read the book before this, and my friend was like, how? That's kind of sacrilege and it's just blasphemy. So I decided to eventually pick it up, and I really wanted to try it because it is one of those cult classic books and I thought I'd kind of enjoy it. It sounded kind of like a fairy tale fantasy book, but kind of satirical version of that, and I was like, oh, I'll probably enjoy that. First off, I was a bit disappointed with this. I'm not gonna lie. I gave this, I believe, 3.5 stars or 3 stars on GOODREADS. I had quite a few problems with it, but I also really enjoyed parts of it at the same time. I have very mixed feelings, and I just want to say this wasn't the book that I grew up loving. I don't have that emotional connection to it that a lot of people do, or to the film, which I'm sure is great. I've heard the film is kind of the good parts version of the book. So I will probably end up watching the film at some point because I'm curious, and I think the film was also written by William Goldman and I'm interested in watching it. So I will eventually check that out. But this is a kind of, as I said, a satirical fairy tale. It's got a lot of really great aspects in it, like revenge, love, growing up. There's like a lot of adventure and kind of high-spiritedness, and a lot of humour as well with the characters, and they're all very interesting and quite complex, and I think that's really great. That's something I enjoyed about the book. So we start off this book. My edition, which comes kind of, the text comes from the 25th anniversary edition, had 2 introductions which were both kind of totaled, I think, about 40 or 50 pages long. So before I even got into this book, I had to read 50 pages of fictionalizedness written by William Goldman. And something I just want to make clear about this book: this is, according to William Goldman, a retelling of S. Goldstein's classic high tale of love and adventure, or something along those lines. So in between, he has written a lot of excerpts which are all in italics in the book, where he kind of interrupts the story to digress on how he has cut down a lot of the original text that was written by this S. Goldenstern. Let me just check I'm saying that right. S. Morgenstern even. I believe, S. Morgenstern. Yeah, S. Morgenstern's classic tale of true love and high adventure. And he kind of goes on these slightly, sometimes very long, ramblings about how he has changed the book. It's all fictional. S. Morgenstern's classic tale never existed. It's all kind of fictionalized account, and William Goldman said that his father used to read this to him and cut out all the bad parts and put in the good parts. That's all fictionalized. I did not know this going into the book, and within those kind of written excerpts in the introduction, William Goldman is presented as being the most insufferable idiot. Not perhaps an idiot, but really an insufferable person. He's very critical fictionally. He's very critical of his wife and his imaginary son, which I didn't know until I researched it about halfway through reading this book. I was like, he cannot be this rude about his son, who he kept calling really fat and really like hating on his son in this book. And I was like, he can't surely have done this in a published work. He actually has 2 daughters, not a fictional son. I didn't know that, and I was really like, I was about halfway through and reading all these things where he was being really cruel to his son and kind of cruel to his wife, who he said he'd divorced, who is a psychiatrist or a psychologist, I believe. and she's not in real life his wife, or his wife at the time wasn't a psychiatrist or a psychologist, and he was kind of going on these ramblings about them, and I was like, I don't like him, he sounds rude and really awful, and then it turned out those were fictional, and that kind of made it a bit better for me. I was like, oh, that's okay then, you know, like, I don't mind, they're kind of quite meta then, and I was like, oh, you can appreciate them, it was clever, although sometimes they were very long and slightly did not need to be needed. My edition also has the story Buttercup's Baby, with another rambling introduction, which is truly fictional. I decided I wasn't going to read that. I was quite hating this book by the end that I read it, and please don't attack me in the comments, this is all my personal opinion. I'm not saying it's an awful book, I'm just saying my opinion. I know a lot of people love this and I'm in the minority here. There's also some parts of this, the characters are quite well done. As I said before, they're quite complex. I had a problem with Wesley, and also with Buttercup to an certainty. I like the side characters of like Inigo and Physique a lot more, and the Sicilian, who I cannot remember his name of because he's so constantly referred to as the Sicilian. Wesley is just could not stomach him. There's one line which I've just been marking here in the book, which made me truly hate him, where he goes, I'll read it out. Woman, Wesley roared, you are the property of the dread pirate Roberts, and you, ellipses, do another ellipses, what, ellipses, your, ellipses, told, exclamation mark, end quote. And other such things didn't really make me like him. And then Buttercup is presented as the most shallow woman who is only really worth anything because of her beauty. I know this is all very satirical and everything, but then that would have been fine if there were some actually other noticeably intelligent or like interesting female characters. There is one other female character who I liked called Valerie, who comes in at the end of the book. I liked her. Two female characters, then there's Buttercup's mother and the Countess, who I don't think really have any lines in between them. So I had a bit of a problem with female representation in this. I get that it's very satirical of fairy tales. I understand that. It just took it to a few extremes, and the whole thing about Buttercup only being worthwhile for her beauty kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Even though I do understand it's being satirical, I just felt like it was handled slightly wrong. But I did like the side characters, and I also thought my kind of main problem with this was the plotting. I thought that it was kind of really well paced in some bits. The first half of the book I really enjoyed, actually. I was really enjoying it. And I think it was plotted very well with lots of action. And you get to the second half of the book and I think it becomes a bit slower. And then there's a lot of build-up action right at the very end, and I just felt the second part of the book could have been a lot well paced in regards to that. So I had a bit of an issue with that, and then on top of the characters being very unlikable for the most part, I didn't really enjoy this. But I did enjoy aspects of it, and I think it's a very enjoyable book. And I think if you've watched the film but haven't read the book, I'd recommend it, because I know a lot of people say if you haven't read the book but watched the film, you get a lot more background story on like those side characters that I mentioned previously. So let me know if you've read this and what you think of this. Again, try to be respectful of my opinion in the comments. I know I might not be agreeing with you, but I know this is a very well-loved book, so definitely don't let my review deter you. I was just interested in seeing if other people thought like me. Yeah, I'm glad I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all soon for another one. Bye!